Happy Saturday, Risers. Hope you are safe and well. Saagar and I are back with some of our favorite moments from our interviews this week. We spoke with Huffington Post reporters Zach Carter, Edward Unweso from Vice's Motherboard, and The Intercept's Ryan Grimm. We also had an interview with Tara Reid, a former member of Joe Biden's Senate staff, who says that he sexually assaulted her during that time, and she had an unsuccessful fight to get Time's Up to represent her as well.
But with Congress spending all week working to pass the largest stimulus package in American history, we thought we'd highlight how the responses to the coronavirus pandemic are once again prioritizing corporate profits over the needs of everyday people. And on Tuesday, New York Magazine business columnist Josh Barro, he explained why Congress's focus should have been on bailing out everyday Americans and not big business. Let's take a look.
We're going to see over the next few weeks what the needs of those specific large businesses are, and we could come back and do more legislation later. I'm more concerned right now about support at the individual level. I want people to be able to still pay their mortgages, pay their rent. I think that, in addition to supporting families through this crisis, I think that's going to be necessary for maintaining compliance with economically costly distancing orders. People are more likely to stay home when you tell them to if they have money and they know that they can pay their rent and they don't really absolutely need to work today.
I think that was an excellent point by Josh, which is that it just basically demonstrates that there's the one way out of this crisis, which is what we need to make sure that the economic destruction that befalls us is not for naught by letting people out early. And I think that's the most important thing. I'm of two minds of this, actually, on with the president of the Easter order, because at the same time he said, yeah, I want people out on Easter, but I'm going to listen to the healthcare professionals. Maybe there will be more compliance with stay-at-home orders, because actually one of the biggest problems that California and other states are having right now is compliance, is that people don't want to do it and are just saying, like, look, if this is an open-ended thing, I'm not going to listen. And as we've said, you can't blame people.
No.
Especially whenever you're not backfilling their wages.
Especially when the help you're giving them is so paltry, which is the point that Josh was making, is that if you want people to comply, you have to give them the ability to be able to comply, like the financial wherewithal to be able to comply. And of course, at this point, they have fallen far short of that. We also had Dr. Abdul El-Sayed on the show on Tuesday explain how America's profit-driven healthcare system was woefully unprepared to deal with a crisis like the coronavirus pandemic. Let's take a look.
Our healthcare system right now is a matter of figuring out how to make money off of different kinds of patients, gearing the entire system around doing that, whether it's the payers, the insurance companies, or it's the providers, the hospitals, or it's the pharma companies who make drugs, or it's even the medical tech companies who make the devices that we use in healthcare. All of them are focused on a bottom line. Obviously, that kind of system is not geared to handle the kind of mass influx of patients that are going to come with COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I actually care a lot about, which is that how hospitals and the healthcare system actually makes money. And this is something that he just talked about there, which is, we talked about this earlier in the show, which is that these hospitals don't make any money off of actually caring for people. They jack up prices on healthcare costs, on elective surgery, and they profiteer so that hospital administrators and all these other people are continue bloating and continue sucking money out of people's pockets. That's what this entire system is basically run by criminals. And this is what the doctor highlighted so well, which is that at a time when Americans are sick and being treated more than ever, don't you think they should be making the most amount of money? No, because it's all farce. That's what the whole thing is.
Right. And this was before we talked to Dr. Sayed, before we got that stunning 3.3 million Americans who filed for unemployment, which again just underscores all those people, if they had health insurance to start with, now that they've lost their jobs, they're going to lose their connection to their employer-provided health insurance. One more way in which the system was flawed, unstable, and that the whole healthcare debate that we had time after time after time in every one of the Democratic primary debates was completely stupid and fully missed the point.
Well said. All right, finally, we wanted to highlight our conversation with Dee Taylor. She's the international president of Unite Here. He noted that the stimulus package from Congress failed to address the widespread loss of insurance for millions of workers who were laid off in the wake of the pandemic. Let's take a listen.
We're in a healthcare crisis, and most people lose their healthcare insurance the last day of the month that they get laid off. So we're going to have millions of people go uninsured right now, right when they need healthcare. So either in the next bill or whatever, we need to address that issue, because we're in a healthcare crisis and yet people are losing their healthcare.
This was really an aha interview for me because it's so obvious what he says. We're in the middle of a pandemic, a healthcare crisis, and this bill, trillions of dollars in money spent in this bill, and none of it goes to healthcare. You don't even get coronavirus treatment covered, let alone any other care if you're sick covered out of this bill. When you have so many millions of people who are going to need that, it's unconscionable.
Yeah, I mean, it was really an eye-opening one for me as well. I hadn't even thought about it, but it makes perfect sense, and it just adds even more color to the 3.3 million that are out of work now.
Yeah, and by the way, Dee had said that his members, it's Unite Here, and they represent a lot of service workers, hotel workers, a lot of folks in Nevada working in Las Vegas and the casinos and those sorts of things. They're expecting 80 to 90% of their workers to be laid off. So this is a person who knows what he's talking about.
Terrible.
All right, that does it for us. We'll be back later today with our recurring segment breaking down the week that was in media screw-ups.
And tomorrow we're going to be back for another round of #RisingQs. See you guys then.